Hello, welcome, folks at home, to the Hobby Collab. We're doing these AOS chats every day here right now. And today's Sons of Behemat, Saray, maybe fair to say the most controversial army in Age of Sigmar. People with opinions on this. What do you think? Right out of the
We
gate.
all have opinions.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that this army shouldn't exist in Age of Sigmar.
They compare it to Knights in 40k, right?
Yeah,
It gets compared to
40K. I think they're a little different. I think that in 40K you don't have a bunch of gods walking around on the battlefield.
Yep.
So I feel like in Age of Sigmar it's much more acceptable. At least from like a lore perspective, it makes sense.
Right.
From a gameplay perspective, also, I don't think it's that different. Like, is it really different? Like, Archeon's not really different than a Mega Gargant.
Well, like, what if you took Archeon and like 2 big blocks of Chosen and a block of Varangar? That's basically your army.
Exactly. That's it. Four units, right?
Yeah. And by the way, that army would wreck a Sons of Behemat.
It would destroy them. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's quite the same.
Right.
I think one thing you feel in both Knights and Mega Gargant so is that they don't hit as hard as you think they would.
No.
Which is kind of a problem.
No.
So.
Yeah, I think people love to compare this army to Knights in 40k. I always have. I haven't played 10th edition Warhammer 40,000, but when I was playing both games, I always thought that was a very superficial. If you like Knights, you'll like Gargants. I think that's very superficial.
They're not the same.
You're focusing on one element, number of models, right?
Yeah. Well, they also have the big version and little version, the war dogs.
Yeah, I suppose. Yes, you're focusing on the fact that there's a smaller, slightly cuter version, and that there's the big guys, and that you could have an army of 4 models. That saw exactly. I don't think they're that comparable outside of size. I had similar thoughts on this with people would compare Nighthaunt to Harlequins. I'm like, really, Nighthaunt are Tyranids? I don't think that it's a good comparison. So,
Iron Jaws are Space Marines.
Yeah, Iron Jaws. Yeah. Okay. That said, let's. We have a few topics today. And obviously we always do that, and we want to get into Sons of Behemat. But let's start, as always, cue the science music with some science. Now, we've got what we thought we would do today is actually rank scientifically 3 of the Mega Gargants. We're not actually going to touch any of the little guys today. And by any of the little guys, I mean
little guys
the lone kit, the lone model kit, right? Okay, Saray, this is the one we're going to be talking about a little bit later today. This is the Kraken Eater. Right out of the gate, thoughts on the Kraken Eater?
I think it's great. I think all the Mega Gargants are great.
Yeah. The Mega Gargant...
And I know that scientifically in the past I've talked about how it's really annoying when the poses are all the same.
Yes, exactly.
Somehow I think it's fine here. I don't get the science.
It almost works here, and I want to talk a little bit about why after we've seen all 3 models. I agree, though. Overall, you'd like to see more poses, right? But I will say this: these are big, hefty models that are not that hard to work with. Some of their assembly is a little more plating than you would imagine, meaning you're putting a part of. Well, that's not true. They are actually a torso, and then the legs for the most part. I think that they are a good hobbyist should be able to get a couple different poses out of these guys. Yeah. Without too much work. The Kraken.
Yeah. Like, do you think they expand this range ever? I mean, maybe they replace the little guys. That's about the only thing I can think of. Like, do they add?
Well, they have. It used to be 3 Gargants. They redid the kit to include a new sprue that now helps you build King Broad or the Beast Smasher. So both Beast Smasher and King Broad are kind of like additional parts to the same chassis, if you will. So that's I guess one expansion that exists. But as far as like new models or new units, well, I don't know. Like what would they do? You want to avoid giving them like King Broad has like these little red guys that sit on his shoulder that help them,
Yeah.
but you kind of want to avoid, I think, giving them like something like that, right?
Yeah, do you want to add the, I mean, just to bring it back to 40k Knights, people always talk about bringing like little Adeptus Mechanicus, like Skitarii, with them, and like they should have their own dedicated, little people.
Right.
I don't think that really works with Mega Gargants. They don't really. I mean, I guess you could say like cults that follow the Gargants.
I don't feel like Gargants would appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Giant dog, Polly says. Yeah, I'm sure they can figure something out. Keep in mind that I think it's possible for them to just add more Gargants, different types of Gargants, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really seen the Kraken Eater is the closest to a missile weapon variant that we really have. We haven't seen one that is like really like a boulder hurler, right? Like some guy comes down from the mountains and just rolls boulders on people and like that's like his thing, right? The Gargants.
Bowler? Oh my god, he has a bowling shirt on?
Yeah, bowler, yeah. So okay, but all great questions. The Kraken Eater, I think is one of the coolest ways to build the kit. I find the Kraken Eater to be maybe the most thematic of the builds.
I think we're getting a request to show the numbers fully.
What numbers fully?
They're like slightly cut off.
Oh, yeah. Let me do that. Okay.
Also, Liam, we can't comment on leaks.
Yeah. No, yeah. Okay. Next, we've got King Broad himself.
Oh yeah, he has an eye patch.
He has an eye patch.
That's his whole character.
He wears a skull as a helmet.
Yep.
You can see his little helper guys on him there. I was referencing. And I think the most cool and famous thing about him is his weapon. I love the birch tree look here. I don't know. Very cool. Very cool. Also looks sort of is a little bit different here, pose wise than the Kraken Eater. You can kind of see that.
He's got a little bit more of a turn, whereas King Broad's a little more face on.
Yeah. Last but not least, we have the Gatebreaker.
I like Gatebreaker.
Yeah.
I like his hood.
We can start here. Where does the Gatebreaker land for you? How do you feel about the Gatebreaker compared to the other Gargants? Scientifically speaking, where are these Gargants? What are we to do with them?
That's a good question. Where do we put these?
Yeah. One of my concerns, Saray, when we do science here is, are Gatebreakers, Gatebreaker, Kraken Eater, Broad, are these all going to end up kind of near each other?
I think they'll probably end up near each other. Maybe not right next to each other.
Yeah.
All right. These models are very impressive in person. They're huge.
Mm.
They have sharp detail. They have interesting poses, as Saul pointed out. As Elijah pointed out, they have Disney princess knees.
I don't understand. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think maybe a little like bow-legged.
Okay.
Knee, not the opposite of bow-legged.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they're really good models. They're super cool. I think aesthetically, you could say like maybe they don't work for you, having a bunch of schlubby, vagrants.
Schlubby vagrants is a really good way to describe these guys.
But I think they're super cool.
Yeah.
I think you don't really see stuff quite like this in other games.
No. It's an accomplishment that you gain with age to be able to pull something like this off, right?
I think these are high. These are pretty high. These are probably top 10s.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So right away, our top 10. The bottom of our top 10, I think, is a little vulnerable. I continue to maintain that I don't think Iridan is that cool of a model. But scientifically speaking, he is in the top 10. I also think that Bloodthirster is another area of vulnerability for me.
Yes. I agree.
Where does this guy go? Is he cooler than an Iron World cannon? I guess we're suggesting that he is.
Yes, I think he's definitely cooler than Kilobots on Gnash Tooth. The question is how much higher.
Yeah, is he better than a Thaumaturge?
Thaumaturge is super cool.
Thaumaturge is super cool. And let's follow up with this question. Of Gatebreaker, Kraken Eater, and Broad, I don't know where the science is on this, but I feel like it might be that the Gatebreaker is the least cool. Or maybe you and I have difference of opinion on this in the Kraken Eater, I think.
Yeah, I think we differ on the Kraken Eater. I think the Kraken Eater has the coolest weapon in that he has like a cool net.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing he's got going for him.
Okay.
I think Gatebreaker is really cool because he has like a cool hood.
I don't
know. Hoods are really cool.
I actually hate the hood.
Oh, you hate it?
yeah, I do hate the hood. Well, I shouldn't say I hate the hood, but I like what you see. I like the faces. I like the I don't know, not hood. And by the way, I don't understand Elijah saying our age shows because we don't know what Disney princess needs mean. Like, I'm pretty sure Elijah's solidly, like, Saray and I are like 11 years apart in age. I think Elijah's like solidly directly in the middle of us. So if our age shows, that must mean anyone like a few years older or younger than Elijah doesn't know this. I don't think that
age demographic.
I don't think it works that way, Elijah. Your age shows. You're not exactly between the age of 34 and 38 right now. Like, what? Like, I don't know what age he could be referencing. Okay, I still don't know what Disney princess needs means. Okay, he says they're often defined as inward pointing knees bent towards one another in the middle. Okay.
Back to the Pixar blink.
Okay.
Sorry, we're just getting completely off topic.
I know, but I also
blink is like one eye blinks slightly off.
Oh, interesting.
Off. Yeah.
Okay. Back to science.
Let's do the science. Let's put this guy right below the Ogroid Thaumaturge.
Okay. That seems like a good spot. The Thaumaturge feels very, like a lot of love was put into that.
It's a slang term. Now I gotta look it up. Now I feel like I need to look this up.
Okay. Next, the Kraken Eater. All right, scientifically speaking, I have to defer to you. You seem to think he's less cool than the Gatebreaker. Is he directly under the Gatebreaker? Is he under the Kiloboss?
He's definitely above the Kiloboss. I think he could potentially go higher. I think the net's really cool. I think in a previous episode we said that marine biology and ocean sciences are somehow less scientific somehow. But he has a cool net. He's wearing a net on his stomach. That's pretty scientific.
You can give him a number of different things to have in his hands, which are cool. And this one, they've given him the net full of stuff. And he has a shipwreck club, which is very cool. It's like a cannon from a ship tied together with a bunch of other crap. You can give him a big kraken tentacle, I think in his right hand, that he's like eating.
Oh, I see.
I think so. Or no, maybe it actually goes on his side.
There's a severe lack of anchor. He should have had an anchor on a chain that he like whips around.
There is the lack of anchor is discouraging for sure.
Yeah, should have had an anchor on a chain. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
That being said, actually now I'm looking. I don't think he's as cool as the Gatebreaker.
Okay, so we'll put him down here.
I think he's right below.
And by the way, as far as is it one word? Cracker eater. Kraken eater. I don't know how this.
Ollie,
I don't know how
this
this.
Not belong at 28. You're insane.
What
do you have against schlubby vagrants, Polly?
Schlubby vagrants. It is a schlubby vagrants eater. Schlubby vagrants army. Okay. So as far as expanding the line, you could also do things like literally what you're saying. Like instead of just calling it a Kraken Eater, it's like a Kraken Eater, beach stormer, and he's got like the iron weapon. He's got like the anchor. Like, you know what I mean? You just make like a kit that builds 2 or 3 more variants of existing ones and give them a new war scroll, right? Like you don't always have to be making up an entirely new thing.
I want to see one that's from Shimon.
Dude, I was just thinking that's what you're gonna say. Yeah, like a heavily armored one. Yeah, I want like a 3-up.
Mega Gargant with a 3-up save.
I want a Mega Gargant with a 3-up save, like with lots of like sheets of just like metal all tied to him. Yeah, he moves like 5 instead of 10, but he's got like a 3-up armor.
Slow, yeah.
Okay. Last but probably not least is King Broad. Where does King Broad go?
King Broad looks like Solid Snake, so he's pretty high. I think he's right below. I think he's above a Bloodthirster.
Oh wow, he jumps ahead of
I think he's cooler than a Thaumaturge.
He jumps out of the Gargant peak we have at
this
9.
Guy brought a birch tree to a fight.
That weapon is just too cool. Like someone wearing a skull as a helmet. I have the on my painting desk right now. My queue, I have the Rabble Rouser. It's a little goblin who wears the skull like this as well, and it's cute, but it's small and it gets a little lost as a concept. But this is the best model to have, this giant skull helmet. It's so cool.
Yeah, but even is it? Is it a shark?
It's probably some kind of ancient dragon that might not even exist anymore. I guess we should line it up with like Karzai or Krondus' skull and see if it fits.
Oh, it's his third brother.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this guy. This is a great ranking. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of things.
Main show. Also remember, if you guys feel so strongly about it, you can give us grants to change the rankings.
Yeah, you can always give us grants. We do take bribes in this context.
Grants. They're called grants.
Grants, right? Scientific grants.
Research grants.
We are trying to hit a 50 out of 50 membership goal. We have like a week and a half left of this show before we go to. Before we announce what we'll be doing with this show afterwards, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so also remember there is a poll. Which kind of Gargant would you be? Which one would you be, Saray? Sloppy Eater, Night Emitter, HR Violator, or tax evader?
It's tough. I feel like HR Violator is a good one.
HR Violator is currently winning. Yeah. Okay, let's chat Gargants. I think right out of the gate, I'm going to say that this feels to me, I think, like a side grade, but I'm not sure. I don't play this army regularly. We actually, full disclosure here, we have King Broad fully painted, and we actually just recently, our mod Vino hooked us up with a bunch of his gray and plastic ones. We're making a plan to make some hobby content out of these for you guys, and then we will have them on the table. We know both Megan and Graham are excited to play Gargants, Sons of Behemat. We do have 3 little guys finished, and we got more little guys. We've got a lot, so we will have this army on the table. If you're going to ask me of the 4 armies we don't have, which one was coming in the next, I think it would probably be these guys. Or Meg, Meg is cruising along on Lumineth, so it could be those. Yeah. Okay, so we get 2 new battle formations. Saray, you were kind of looking over the battle formations. Remind us what's the one to beat right now.
Oh, I was not looking. What are you talking about?
Oh! I thought you said
I was looking at these. I was looking at these. The ones we're looking at right now, which I will talk about.
Yeah. Please read. Please read the internet to people. One of the battle formations right now, folks at home, is essentially a +1 to hit. Under what circumstance though? Let me see.
Well, so no, Big Toes is one of them.
Big Toes. Sorry. Right, that's the one to beat. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which one is like the one to beat. I think it's probably the jump up and down one, if I remember correctly.
I think they're all kind of mid.
They're all kind of mid. They tend to give you an extra thing from their list. Like, I know there's an extra. I know there is an extra artifact. Yeah, here it is. More stuff for me collection is an extra artifact. Which the artifacts are pretty good. You know, the 6-up ward when you're near another Gargant is okay, but having to be near another Gargant is sort of a liability because you don't have that many assets to begin with.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about these.
Okay, I'll do. So I'll start off with Man Skittle Mob. We'll talk about we were just mentioning Big Toes a second ago, but we'll do Man Skittle Mob first. So this is a once per turn army in your shooting phase. You pick up to 2 friendly Mega Gargant units within 3 inches of any terrain features, and pick any friendly Gargant units within 3 inches of any terrain features to be the targets. So choose a terrain up to 2 Mega Gargants.
And as many Man Crushers as you can. Is essentially what it is. And Man Crushers, Man Crushers do have a interesting shooting attack. So yeah.
Double the attacks characteristic of each target's ranged weapons for the rest of the turn. If the target has no ranged weapons, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of the target instead, and roll a d3 on a 2 inflicted amount of mortal damage on the enemy units equal to the roll. So, what's the range? Do you know the range on the little giants attacks?
I think the little giants are either 12 or 18. The ranges on these are actually often better than you would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, giant dudes. You think
throwing rocks is 12. Hurl debris from the Kraken Eater, both in the new and old War Scrolls, 24.
Okay.
I think that this inevitably, the number one person model that benefits from this, where it becomes quite interesting, is a Kraken Eater.
Kraken Eater, yeah.
I think if you take Man Skittle Mob, you're almost incentivized to do like Broad, double Kraken Eater, and
the rest of little guys, right?
And a bunch of little guys. Yeah, Gatebreaker has an 18-inch, but I think the Gatebreaker's one is just 1 shot, which is still good because then it's like 2.
Double the amount of shots.
Yeah, double the amount of shots. Gatebreaker is... Oh, that's right. The Gatebreaker's, though, it's 1 shot. It does hit on 3, which is pretty impressive for destruction. Wounds on 2. Right. Rend 3, 4 damage. That's actually pretty good. I like this one. I mean,
it's once per turn too, so it's not once per game, once per turn.
Right.
So you're potentially doing a lot of range damage.
I love the idea of these guys standing near terrain features and just like ripping crap out of it and just throwing it. Yeah. I mean, having like a Gatebreaker, a Kraken Eater, and then like 2 units, so like 6 total Man Crushers just chucking. I mean, guys, that would actually be quite oppressive.
That's scary.
Quite oppressive. Yeah. Like, let's say that the Kraken Eater auto attacks. That's 2. The Gatebreaker is 2 attacks now under this at 3s, 2s, Rend 3, 4 damage, 18 inches. The Kraken Eater is 6 attacks at 4s, 3s, Rend 1, I think he is.
Yeah, Rend 1.
Rend 1, D3 damage. And the bolters are kind of like that again, but 1 shot each. The bolter is, the bolter hits on 5. 5s, 2s, Rend 2, D3 damage.
How many shots?
1 each, so now it's 2 each, so 6 guys will put out 12 shots. Hitting on 5s is kind of,
That's rough.
That's rough. But I actually like this weirdly on the Kraken Eater and the Gatebreaker almost more than the little guys.
We like it.
I like this. It. Yeah, it's fun. It's an amount of shooting that's like turns the Gargants into an army that's like they can kind of go and claim their thing, get their points, and
then support each other from a distance,
and then shoot you and kind of make you have to come to them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm into it. Okay, the next one. What's Big Toes?
Big Toes. Okay, so Lofty Louts. You pick a friendly Man Crusher Gargant. Sorry, this is also once per battle deployment phase. Pick a friendly Man Crusher Gargant unit to be the target. For the rest of the battle, add 1 to the hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Gargant units while they are wholly within 12 inches of the target and not wholly within 12 of any friendly Mega Gargant units. So, +1 to hit if you're away from everyone else. Mm-hmm. It's a little unfortunate. It has to be a Man Crusher and not a Mega Gargant.
Yes.
This would be great on a huge guy.
Yeah. this is for people who've always wanted to, and they're out there. Gargant players who want to take Man Crusher hordes. I think
you only pick one though.
Yeah, but then other Gargants get +1 while they're near them.
Right.
So you pick. I think you take 9. And by the way, yeah, I think you take 9. You can also take these still as singles. Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, you can also take Man Crushers as singles. And none of these things can be, as far as I know, these cannot be reinforced. Yeah, they cannot be reinforced. So you're taking either 1 or 3. Maybe the single can be reinforced, actually, to be 2, I think. Yes, he can be. He can be reinforced. So, I think you're taking between like 6 and 9 little guys and just wandering up the board, +1 to hit. The thing is that points-wise, there's and consistency-wise, it's sort of like when I say, actually in Beastclaw Raiders, it kind of like Mournfang's better in some ways. They're a little more reliable because of the number of dice you're throwing. That's actually the effect you get with Man Crushers versus Mega Gargants, is that sort of points-wise, the so-called baby giants actually are a little more reliable. If you get these units of 3 going into things, they can actually, you can count on them a little bit more to do some good damage.
They're real cheap now, actually. Man Crushers.
Yeah, 130. Yeah, 130.
130, I think.
Yeah. So that's 390.
That's how much a wizard costs.
Right. Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean they're fragile. And I think if you want to, they have 12 health. I think if you want to take Man Crushers, if you like Man Crushers, I think you have to look at this and see it as a win. That said, I don't know how many people are going to be pivoting and saying, cool, I'm definitely taking 9 little guys now.
Little guys.
That said, Vino gave us a lot, and we already have 3, and I think I already have like 2 more. We have a lot of these kits. We should definitely build like 9 and try to run it at least once.
We should also thank Soups for his...
we do need to thank Soups for
his he's trying to take away from the sciences.
Soups, thank you. We always appreciate your support. He says, I will not see valuable funding wasted on the sorry excuse for the unscientific pish-posh. Your grant is denied. Damn.
Well, well, science happens regardless.
Yeah, you can't silence science. Soups.
Well, you can, but
silence science soups.
Not on this show.
Science soups. Yeah. Okay, I think these are good. I think these are fun. Again, the ones to beat are like multiple things jumping up and down, which is multiple mortal damage across the board. It's an okay amount of mortal damage. It's kind of like D3. Double artifacts is another one you're I think maybe giving up. These are good, I think. Gargants players, what do you think? If there's any of you in here, okay.
I mean, like we've said every show since they've revealed it, getting +1 to hit is huge in a world of disincentivizing all out attack.
No,
and this is just you get a bunch of them though.
No ward on Gargants. Baby Gargants, Man Crushers, 5-up save. So when they auto attack in the future GHB, they go to a 6 save. 2/3 of Sigmar. This isn't a joke, really. I think about 2/3 of Sigmar is Ren 1. So at least half of the entries are Ren 1. So no save for you when you auto attack as a Man Crusher. Yeah. And any save is good on a Man Crusher because they have 12 health. So theoretically you're making even if you're getting a 6-up, you're staying alive a little bit better.
Yeah. We were talking about, speaking of +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Heroic traits. Grabby. You add 1 hit rolls for this unit's combat attacks that target enemy units contesting an objective you do not control. That's annoying that it has to be an objective that you don't control, but they want to force you to be aggressive.
Just like Mega Grump, if Mega Grump was 5-up ward all the time, both of these would be simply too good. Now, in that case, then you'd at least have them competing with each other again.
Yeah.
They're already going to be competing with each other. Just giving a Gargant flat out +1 to hit sounds a little scary to me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Gargant players wouldn't have complained. Grabby is going to be good. This is a game where you have to take objectives.
Yeah.
Gargants can take objectives by themselves.
Grabby is definitely the HR violator.
Yeah. Okay. Terrifying Hulk.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a whole the damn condition is longer than the rule itself.
Yes.
So once per turn reaction, your opponent declared a charge ability for a visible non-monster enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit.
Mm-hmm.
If this unit is not in combat, roll a dice. On a 3-up, you can change one of the dice in that charge roll to a 1.
There's too many
conditions.
And for me, honestly, there's only one condition I don't accept that I say makes this not good. For me, that is also one. I would accept that answer from somebody. Mm-hmm. For me, it's that this unit cannot be in combat. Because you have to be wholly within 12 of something. And then... is it wholly within 12 or is it just within 12? It's no, it's just within 12, which is nice.
Within 12.
Within 12. You have to be within 12. So this means that really this is being largely used, Saray, the way I see it, when something is actively for the first time in the game going to charge you.
Yes.
In other words, like let's say you put this on a gatebreaker. Someone comes up to charge your gatebreaker because he's been throwing shit all game. And they come to charge your gatebreaker. I see this more or less as a once per game ability because once he gets in combat, he's probably going to be in combat a lot from there on out. And he's not going to get to use this. So for me, I would say there's a couple ways that this could have been perfect. One is it shouldn't be a die roll. It just happens. Two is the not in combat thing. Like,
yeah, not in combat is the big one.
Yeah. And I agree with you that the non-monster thing is also a little bit of a tick against this. That said, this sucks if it goes off and works. You know what I mean?
It's really
like
bad.
Imagine really needing to get somewhere, to get on an objective. And there's a Kraken Eater or a Gatebreaker again sitting there on it, throwing shit from a piece of terrain, causing problems. And now it's your turn. You're not going next. Maybe the Gargant player is going next, and you go to charge him, and you get a 6. You're a 9 away. You get a 6 and a 3, and he just changes one of the dice to a 1. And it's just like that's that. Yep. Too bad. I mean,
and then you get another rock thrown at you, and then he charges you, and you die.
Exactly. This is really a problem. Look, you can't send like 6. You can't send like 3 Vanguard over to beat this guy up a bit. You've got to send like multiple units, unfortunately now. Yeah. And it's not even that you go, oh well, I'll send 6 Vanguard over. It's like, yeah, this can still happen to 6 Vanguard. Like, he's gonna kill 1 before they get there. Now there's 5, and then this happens, and now there's 4 or 3, and then he charges you, and then he fights.
Yeah.
Right. Your plans go really bad if this goes off.
Yeah. Yeah. High potential, a lot of setup.
But yeah.
I think what's weird about these, all these heroic traits have like pretty hard like conditions and stipulations to be met.
It seems like they like to do that with Gargants. I think because they are concerned about what happens when you just give a Gargant a 5-up board. What happens when you just give +1 to hit for a Gargant, right?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, they have so many damn wounds. It's almost like giving a 5-up board to a Mega Gargant is like giving a 5 board to 2 units. It's got so much health.
Right. Now, I want to check real fast before. Saray, feel free to talk about Mega Grump. What I want to check, or read it at least, which won't take you long. Yeah. It's one sentence. Yeah. But what I want to check... Yeah. What I want to check real quick.
This unit has a ward 5-up while it has 25 or more damage points. So for a lot of models, they have 35 health or 40 health. So they're very close to death when they get their 5-up board.
Yeah. It's
two-thirds
good.
of their health, well, not two-thirds, but like a good chunk of their health is gone.
It's good. Here's what I think is a little bit interesting. I'm reminding myself of what is an artifact versus what is
Heroic trait?
a heroic trait. Interestingly, by the way, Sons of Behemat already have 6 artifacts, which is one thing that's kind of funny. And they're all pretty good.
These are heroic traits.
Yeah, I know. Now they have 6 heroic traits. And why I bring this up is because I want to remind people what they're competing against, and quite frankly, also remind myself. So, Ray, the problem with these 3, because we're not super familiar with this army, I know, is that the 3 existing heroic traits are kind of good. One is once per battle, add 2 to the attack characteristics of all of all their melee weapons. Again, this is an army with scary melee weapons. Yes. It also gives them -1 to save. Interestingly, it's like a little bit of a
pre all out attack.
Yeah,
conditions.
Monstrously tough. Add 5 to their health. Their health characteristic is 40, not 35.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, not bad. And then maybe the best one is Rabble Rouser. Add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Sons of Behemat units while they're wholly within 12 of him. So +1 to charge for the guy himself, +1 to charge for any Sons of Behemat units wholly within 12 of him. Those are all pretty good.
Yeah.
These are all pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think these are very good.
Would you take Mega Grump over Monstrously Tough? Would you take 5 up Ward?
Functionally, it is more health, right?
What's that?
I mean, I think mathematically it ends up being more health, right? 1/3 of
10.
10?
No, it's 3.
No, it's not. So no, I would not take it.
Yeah. It's not. It's just that it becomes a little more problematic late game is going to be the vibe of this. It's going to be like, oh, now he's a little bit harder to deal with, right?
Well also I'm guessing they have battle damage, right? Having +5 health makes it harder to get to that battle damage threshold.
No, because it's just the amount of damage.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I always think of
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think Saul. I think the one you're talking about, monstrously tough, the extra health. Yeah. I think that's Saul saying that's the one that's usually taken. I that would be my guess. Again, I haven't even played against these guys yet in 4th. To be honest with folks at home. But I can see Rabble Rouser being strong. Again, I actually do think Terrifying Hawk is good too. It's just I don't think Sons of Behemat players are going to take it, considering all these other ones just happened, and this one requires a 3-up roll.
Yeah.
What would you? Yeah. They have really good artifacts. Now they have great heroic traits to pick from. I don't think Sons of Behemat players can complain about their heroic traits or their artifacts. And quite frankly, their battle formations are good too. Like I said, artifacts are good. One of the battle formations just lets you pick 2 artifacts. And again, the artifacts are really good. And you're putting them on Gargants, right? So these are things like improving a stat line on something that is quite good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting. I will also say this about Mega Grump. What I was going to say about Mega Grump is that it situationally could be good if you're going against factions that have a lot of mortal damage output. Right. But again, it's only that last 10 that it kicks in. Yeah. And at that point, if
you rally back, you lose it.
If Croak or Kara's Fateweaver, whoever have you down to 10, they're not going to be like, oh, now he's going to 5-up board, I better stop. They're going to go for it, right? Yeah.
Fucking pull the trigger.
Yeah. Okay, we get a Kraken Eater variant War Scroll. Yes. For context, as far as the data sheet has changed, the numbers, the wheel, it has changed not that much. Let me kind of talk about what has changed. One, the Shipwrecker Club has gone up 1 damage. It used to be 4 damage. It's now 5. The kind of major complaint about the Kraken Eater historically is that he's some of the lowest output currently.
Really? Oh, okay.
He's always.
I always thought it was the Chaos one that's like this. It's 2 damage? This is terrible.
The Chaos one is kind of has often been maligned because he he has an almightier stomp.
Yes, that's true.
But his main weapon is only 2 damage.
What the what?
And it has like doesn't have like a sweep like hitting a bunch of things ability.
No, it's a few more attacks. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
not enough. It's like 6 attacks. Okay, well that's
He
not enough.
he wants to be fighting like hordes, and I think if he's fighting hordes, he's pretty good. This happens with the Beast Smasher too. Those two want to be fighting specific targets. If they're fighting their specific target, I think they're probably better than the Kraken Eater. I think that's part of the problem with the Kraken Eater is he's actually a generalist and he's their utility piece.
Yeah.
His utility has changed. It used to be that he could kick objectives 2d6.
Yes.
Kicking objectives 2d6 is quite a strong ability.
Insanely good.
It's insanely good. He's lost that. Now, sorry, the other thing, Saray, that's happened on his stat line, Death Grip is the same. For what it's worth, Spine Shattering Stomp is kind of interesting. This is more attacks than both. So other guys. So all of these guys have either Mighty Stomp or Almighty Stomp or Mighty Stomp. The weird thing that happened here that I don't quite get with Spine Shattering Stomp is it's the exact same stat line as what he currently has, Almighty Stomp. But one big difference. The name is different. And why that matters is that there is a battle formation.
Formation, yeah.
That lets, where is it? Which one? It's called the Stomper Tribe. That affects, no, it's Breaker Tribe, right? Who has this? Somebody has something that affects Stomp and Almighties.
I know, I forget the name of it, but it affects Stomps.
Oh, maybe it's a heroic trait, actually, I think, or an artifact. Yeah. So, and it calls out a name, and it won't affect this one now. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but it is interesting at the very least.
Yeah, it's interesting that they specifically made a new attack to exclude it from that buff.
For some reason, and it doesn't change anything otherwise. Like it's the same stat line.
It's also anti-infantry Ren 1. Is that not different?
This is anti-infantry Ren 2.
Okay, sorry. I'm saying the anti-infantry.
+1 Ren. Yeah. Yes, it is. Sorry, it is also that. Yeah, even that is the same. You're right. I checked that one as well. Okay, so I think that's fine. His output is fine. You know, like every Gargant, he wants extra callous feet. Thank you, Saul. Like every Gargant, I think he wants all attack all day long, or any kind of +1 to hit he can get, which is why I think Grabby is pretty good.
Even if it's situational.
Even if it's situational, you're gonna take it every time. You can get your +1 to hit. Okay, he has the normal Sons of Behemat abilities. No surprise there. Longshanks can't Sons of Behemat rule itself can't be killed, auto killed, stuff like that. Okay, and then after that, it's really simple. He deep strikes.
Yeah.
So this army does not have access to that currently. Now it does.
Yep.
A deep striking Gargant is no joke.
Yeah.
But there's no trick here. It's a 9-inch charge he's got to make unless you are that now you could put the +1 to charge on him.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's got to make an 8-inch charge out of deep strike, which is interesting.
More doable.
And again, he can deep strike and start hurling shit. I like that about him the most. If you put him in the throwing shit club, what's it called? Manskittle mob, you can actually deep strike him next to your opponent's thing. Maybe if right, and he can start chucking rocks. This is kind of what I like most about him conceptually. And then you could still give him the +1 to charge is a battle formation, so you can't give him that too.
Make sure you screen out your backfield, or you'll have a giant emerge out of the water.
Yeah, I don't know.
Be a problem.
Is it better than kicking objectives? GW seems to think so. Matt Rose seems to think so. He has gone up in points.
I don't think it's better than kicking objectives, personally.
I think it is maybe in context of Man-Skittle Mob, because keep in mind, this guy would then have 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s, Rend 1, D3 damage, 24 inches. So the 24 inches is the most compelling part of this. If you all attack this guy, 6 attacks, 3s, Rend 1, D3 damage, you're probably getting 3 through. Your opponent's probably making 1 or 2 saves. It's probably 2 or 4 points of damage if you're lucky. It's not that amazing. Yeah. But it is still interesting on a model that can show up, grab an objective, take their lands in the current GHB, help with flanks in the current GHB, and I don't know, throw shit, and then
you know what I would have wanted?
Yeah.
Or maybe they should be one of the variants. They should have like a hunter killer missile style thing, or what's the missile launcher from 40K? That it has like you can only use it like 3 times.
Like a Manticore or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They should have a guy who just has he can shoot 3 times. He could throw like a 5 damage or 6 damage thing.
Yeah, like
use it like 3 times.
Yeah, or like even I like the idea of once, like right, like the model has one giant like statue,
one giant 10
like a giant statue of like Sigmar, like broken in half.
Yeah, and he just takes Sigmar's head.
He shows up. He shows up in battle, and he's gonna throw this thing. It hits on a 4. It wounds on a 2. It's Rend 1,000,000. It's 12-inch range, but it's like 10 damage. Yeah, that'd be super
10
cool.
damage.
I'm with you.
And like D3 mortals or something.
Yeah, that's the last thing competitive Gargant players want. But
yeah, that's what we demand.
That's the number one thing every other Gargant player wants. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think it's a side grade. I'd be really curious. I have to say, I'd be super curious here at AOS Coach. Check his take on this out. He is a big Gargants player. You'll see he'll put something up on this in no time. Check and see out. I know I will want to know what he thinks of this, because I think that I see it as a side grade. This army does not have access to Deep Strike currently, but at the same time, I do think kicking the objectives is it's hard. I mean, if a Kraken Eater runs up, takes a center objective, and kicks it 7 inches behind him, jeez, I mean,
it's really good.
It messes up a lot of your plans. Yeah, I mean, it messes up a lot of how you do things. So, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Any thoughts, Saray, before we move on?
Matt Rose should hire us. We had a better idea.
We have good ideas. Yeah,
we have good ideas. Give him a 10 damage block.
We have good Gargant ideas, Matt. Come on. All right, we want to talk about something kind of unrelated, specifically to Age of Sigmar now.
Yeah.
But it's in the news, and we know...
One other thing that we're not going to talk about.
What's that?
Friend of the show, Liam Dempsey.
Oh,
you should go read an article on Warcom.
Yeah,
he didn't put it in the segment. But.
Yeah, Liam had an article, something on Space Wolves, right? Featured in Warcom, which is kind of a unique thing. We don't often see Warcom doing that. Yep. So pretty cool.
Go read it.
Yeah. One of the things we want to talk about, of course, making the news is this large Games Workshop.
Speaking of Liam Dempsey, getting swept up, get rid of him.
Yeah. Large, giant lawsuit targeting a lot of different IP infringement, presumably, of Games Workshop. The big one we wanted to kind of talk about was the big name. I think that is in this. By the way, Liam's name is not involved with this, so
no,
that was a joke. That was a Saray joke. It was good, but I just want to clarify Saray so we don't. Okay, is Baron of Dice, right? Baron of Dice is the big name I think here.
What I was say is Liam Dempsey collaborator.
Yeah. Baron of Dice, Liam Dempsey collaborator, and that's part of what makes this a big deal is that there's a lot of channels that are sponsored or have done collaborations with Baron of Dice, and a lot of those channels that are also interacting with Games Workshop. So this is kind of a fun, juicy thing. We have nothing to do with any of this, so we can just eat popcorn and watch
whatever we want.
Yeah, and we're not going to say anything mean one way or the other. Baron of Dice is probably, I mean, this company came out of nowhere during late COVID. And in a matter of a year or two, you just start seeing their dice everywhere, all over the place. They were making, essentially, let's be honest, fight me in chat if I'm wrong, they were making, and I think, this is part of the problem, Games Workshop branded dice at an alarming rate, a rate that we've never seen GW make. GW will say, okay, here's a big Asuryani release. Do you guys remember when they did all of the different Asuryani dice for each Aspect Warrior? That was about the biggest one-time dice drop I think I've ever seen from them. Otherwise, it's like...
They did a bunch for Heresy as well.
Okay, they had a big Heresy dice drop. They don't do a lot of those. They often will do one dice drop when a unit gets its new battle tome or its new codex or whatever, right? Yeah. That's pretty standard. We'll see that. I think a lot of the GW dice are almost more like when you see a piece of Scandinavian furniture and you're like, wow, somebody really off the rails. It's some David Lynch shit. I'm going to put that way. I know you will appreciate that, sir.
The Nurgle dice.
The Nurgle dice. The Nurgle dice were just... I mean, pushing the artistic boundary on what you can do with dice.
And usefulness.
And usefulness. So we end up with Chapter House Studios, and they're cranking out dice for... sorry, not Chapter House Studios. You know why I said that, of course. Baron of Dice. We end up with Baron of Dice, who are cranking out an insane amount of very specifically branded dice. Yep. Listen, before I continue, I want to give one anecdote, which comes from Meg. She's in chat. Meg at Nova walked up to the Baron of Dice booth. Thank you. And, was looking at them and admiring how cool many of them were. And then sort of asked the person working there, it wasn't an owner or anybody, it was just somebody manning the booth, about how does their partnership, Meg's mind went to, surely they have a partnership with Games Workshop. She kind of wanted to ask, because she wanted to ask with us, because Meg has done little cute drawings of things. We have, for example, when one of our streams starts, we have a little terrain buffer, and then it goes to these images, if you guys have watched our games, where we have drawn, Meg has drawn, illustrated, those are not AI generated, those are her illustrations, icons for each army that we play. We have icons for each army that we play. We don't do anything with those icons. We don't sell those icons on shirts. We don't put those icons on dice. They're just on our stream. GW, Andy, must be aware of them because they've watched our show to know that we don't have hate speech. So,
we just cut that out.
The point is, Meg kind of was thinking, oh, well, we could do stuff with those. We could merchandise those. People might like those illustrations. It might be cool to have that on a shirt or something. So she asked, and she said, how does that work? And the person said, oh, yeah, we don't have a partnership with GW. So, they know. They knew what they were doing. They know that they're doing this, rogue. And listen, I have not been to the Baron of Dice.
Had not until recently.
Until recent. Have you, Saray?
No.
I mean, that's a lot of Space Marine symbols right out of the gate. I mean, that's an illustration. That's not even the real product. And the tone is being set. It's a great website, by the way. Really cool.
Cool little dragon. Yeah, I mean, also we should say a couple of things. One, we are in GW's creator program.
We are.
So take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Yep, we're shills.
But
we're personal.
I don't know. It feels pretty blatant, right? Okay, just to be clear, we were talking about this before the show, and we were saying GW gets a.
Oh, I think he froze up for a sec. Yeah. While he's doing this, while he's talking, we'll let him reset. I'll move around and click on some of these dice. Our mod Soups posted
a lot of crap.
Yeah,
for the way they enforce the right. Oh,
that's okay. Go ahead, Saray. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, I was just saying, we're aware of GW's kind of sketchy past with their IP enforcement, and it's often seemed quite heavy-handed and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Um, I don't feel particularly good when GW like targets like small Etsy sellers or people are doing third-party stuff that GW isn't really dabbling in. You know,
Exactly.
I don't,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't, say what you will about those. I don't really care that a lot of those little creators are doing that, but this is like very egregious.
This
This is like next level.
You wonder how far this company is thinking. How big are they thinking about getting? Because so let's say they go and they start doing this, and wait, have they done it? I'm about to find out. I'm wondering now. Have they done this with Star Wars? And it looks like they have. So they're too small, I'm sure. But you wouldn't be waiting for Disney to find you. You'd be waiting for Atomic Mass Games? Who's running Legion?
I forget the name.
Yeah. Again, like these do they have a partnership here with this company? Because this is clearly Star Wars. These are if they don't, does anybody know? Do they have a Star Wars?
I don't know.
Yeah,
and we're not saying anything one way or the other, but like it seems
I mean that's a stormtrooper. I mean like I don't.
Yeah, it is.
So if they again like to be fair, if GW doesn't get them, somebody else will. Like,
I mean, we were looking at like the Emperor's Children stuff, and it's like
it's just
a symbol,
right? And they know what they're doing, right? They've got it all out right now because the release is happening. It's just too egregious. It's just too. You said it, Saray. They're flying way too close to the sun on this.
I think there's also something to be said. Like they're doing a lot of partnerships with Warhammer channels.
Like, they're everywhere.
Come on, guys.
As far as keeping
tone it down. You would have been fine.
As far as keeping your heads down, these guys have never heard of that before. It's like Then the question last night, we were what I was asking people. We were in a hobby hang in our Discord, which is please check it out. I promise we're all nice. We're all safe there. And the question I was sort of asking myself and asking people is why? Why would you grow this big as a company and take this risk? And one thing I want to make clear, something I have had experience before, is setting up manufacturing, being part of setting up manufacturing in China. And I can tell you it is hard. It is fraught with I don't want to say bribery and kind of like knowing who's who and how to play games, but there is a lot of that. It is not easy. And in a particular way, what I want to say, it is not easy in a way like, oh, is it a set of things I have to fulfill and a checklist I have to go through? But it's just a lot of them and money. Yes, it is those. But also, it's a lot of navigating people, which is hard. Yeah. It's a lot of figuring out, oh, well, this factory doesn't want to redo it now. So they're trying to push us to this factory, but I know it's going to happen if they push us to that factory. It's farther away from Hong Kong where the shipping is, so our prices are going to go up, right? So we really need them to make it in this factory. They're acting like they're not going to do that.
Manufacturing is not an easy, simple thing to set up. So like they put a lot of time and effort into making these dice, and I've never used the dice, but they seem like pretty decent, high quality stuff.
People like the dice. I don't see them with this branding anymore. My first red flag with Baronet Dice, I'll state that I had 2 red flags with Baronet Dice. Red flag number 1 was I got some dice as a prize. I believe they were Daughters of Cain dice. Here, we can find them easily. We'll go to Fantasy Wargaming Order, and we'll look for, Blood Bride ladies or something, right? This will not be hard to do if they're actually here. Let's see. Which ones are the Daughters of Cain dice? Daughters of Medusa. That's exactly what I got right there. That's what mine looked like. Okay, so I got these dice as a prize, and I immediately kind of thought like, oh, this is That's not an exact GW symbol, actually, in this case. This one, I think they could keep selling.
They could probably get away with this.
They could probably get away with this one. But I had this vibe, and I don't want to sound elitist, but I had this vibe I had when I was a kid. And I think in this case, it was because of how different they look. When, the example I used last night is like Jurassic Park toys came out when I was a kid. And along with that, a host of knockoff Jurassic Park toys came out. And I had that vibe when I got handed these dice. I was like, okay, thank you for the prize. I won't say who gave me the prize. He would laugh at it if I did. But it was Tom from SoCal. But the point is, I got this prize, and I was like, oh, okay, knockoff Daughters of Cain dice. Thank you, right? That was my first red flag. My second red flag is a lot of their branding at one point, I don't know, folks at home, if they still have this, was centered around these dice being hand poured with like high quality resin. I got excited when I found that out when we were starting the Hobby Collab, because we wanted to do business and interact with companies and learn about companies that, and we still do, by the way, that were making things in places that had, workers' rights laws, had, basic humanitarian outlook on life. Maybe we're trying to reduce their environmental footprint, like Bear Cav, exactly. I thought that when they used that marketing was implying to me right out of the gate that these dice maybe were made in the US, maybe they're made in Spain or Italy or the UK, maybe they were made in custom small batches, maybe they were trying to, but they're not. They're made in China, in a factory in China, just like most manufacturing, right? Yep. There's nothing uniquely artisanal about these dice.
You only want artisanal dice.
By the way, there are artisanal dice. Look them up. There are dice makers in the US. I mean, Chessex is made in the US. There are dice made in places with workers' rights. Degrees of workers' rights. But at least the idea, the concept of workers' rights as a concept. At least acknowledge that the people in the factory are also humans alive, and that they can leave and go do other things, right? So I was off-put by that, and I found it. I was talking to Meg about it a bit last night in preparation for this. I was saying, for me, it's not just a little bit misleading. I found it actually to be not particularly great, because it signals to people, some people anyway, it signaled to me that they were willing to use branding terms that they knew weren't right, but they knew they would get people that way, right? And so for me, I have to say, we're not a company that's ever been approached by Baronet Dice to run ads. I feel pretty comfortable saying there's not a lot of love loss here, but more objectively speaking, I'm just not surprised.
No.
I don't know how anyone could be.
Just to bring it back, I think we talked about like what were they thinking being like this blatant, and I think we had said like GW's kind of done this before. They've kind of gone in waves of like enforcing their IP, and usually what happens is people just don't want to bother, so they just stop. Right. I was thinking that maybe they thought that this time that it was just like, all right, they're just doing another wave, whatever, we'll just ignore it because they haven't bothered with us before, and maybe this time GW really did, bite.
Well, Vino, our mod, brings up a good point, and this is one of the things we were kind of talking about last night. They push their luck, and one of the things that I want to both ask and state to my understanding, anyone apparently on this list, it is quite possible or safe to assume that they have been sent a cease and desist letter. Now,
that's what we that's standard practice, right?
Standard practice.
Safe to assume that.
And that this guy coming out of COVID is selling these dice. He's got a few years from 2001 to 2003 for when he was probably sent the cease and desist letter, or potentially sent the cease and desist letter.
Yeah, we don't know that.
We don't know that. And that he could have called it then and there. Did he continue to go after that? If that is what happened, Vino's saying they might have pushed their luck. Is there something is there a plan they have that they think will let them keep going on this? Or is it quite simple as GW is gonna go through their inventory and say which ones they can and can't do? This guy's probably gonna be tough to keep on, but the Medusa head Probably not. Like we said earlier, like the Medusa head is not
generic enough.
Yeah, and Medusa is not something. That's Medusa. You can't copyright Medusa, I guess.
I mean, those Emperor Children ones are gonna have to go.
So, some of them,
Children are a little too plain.
Yeah, there are ones where it is a direct logo copy, like the Emperor's Children. There's one where it's a uniquely Games Workshop concept, like a Tau head, and then there's ones like the Medusa head, which are like, I mean, Medusa head is barely even associated with. I don't play the snakes heavy, but there's really only one unit that looks like that.
Yeah, Medusa's a thing, right? Medusa's a myth.
Yeah,
you can't get people on that.
Yeah, so it's interesting to talk about. People have been talking about it in our Discord. I
want to see the Spectral Knights. That's what I think that's what Soups was saying.
Okay, well,
you find him.
Spectral Knights. Should I just do a search?
Sure. Let's see what it's. Yeah, Spectral Knight. Oh, wow.
Oh, this is Lord of the Rings, yeah?
That's yeah. No. That's Spectral Knight.
These are cool dice. I mean, the color and everything is cool, right? But here's the other thing, folks at home. I when I was at Tabletop Times, we were getting dice made. You can get cool dice made. That's not particularly unique. And there's only a couple companies that actually make them over in China. Like, for example, we were using the same company that Games Workshop used to get our dice made. And we were actually able to look at GW dice for like finishes, like matte. Like the finish is what we were concerned about, and we were saying we wanted a very matte finish on the Titans dice. And we like looked at a GW die that they had made, knowing it was the same company, and we said we want this finish. And they were like, okay, cool, thanks. But the point is, like, the color options are all... these are not, like... For me to say these are cool, what I'm saying is somebody at Baron Dice made a good decision on the aesthetics of what somebody who loves Wraith Knights, right, would want their color of their dice to be. They made a cool decision. But as far as, is this a unique resin that only Baron of Dice has access to? My guess is no. My guess is GW could make this exact same die if they wanted to.
Yeah, so the solution to this is GW. Just start making more decent dice that aren't the Nurgle dice, and it won't be a problem.
I mean, to be fair to Baron of Dice, you could say they fall...
a need.
Exactly. They fall into this category of filling a vacuum. And then you kind of have to ask yourself, is that okay? Well, I mean, GW is... People want GW dice. They're just not making them fast enough, or they're making them too weird. This is pretty intense. This one, that's funny. Soups directed me to these. My mind is honestly, my mind is most blown, which I just found out on air today. My mind is most blown by the Star Wars ones, because we know Disney to be litigious.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is just playing with fire. I mean, at some point, for this right here to be on their website makes me positive Baron of Dice knows that this is coming. They had to have known. I think their only real thing was who would it be first? GW or Disney, I guess. Or so sorry, is Atomic Mass Games running Legion?
I thought so.
Yeah. Would it be Atomic Mass Games or would it be Games Workshop? That's really the only question that I can see here. Like that must be what what they're thinking over there at the Baron of Dice office is like, who's gonna do this first?
He's gonna get us first. Yeah, I mean, we're not lawyers. Obviously, we're not IP lawyers. We gotta go get Andrew on the phone.
We know, we're good friends with an IP. He's been on the channel.
IP lawyer. Maybe they're actually fine. This is the thing; they could actually be perfectly legally in a gray area, but it's just playing with fire. Like, that they're gonna come after you eventually, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're in a legally gray zone, like, unfortunately, they're just so much bigger. And it is, and they're gonna have to defend it. So it seems like
yeah.
an interesting strategy.
The legally gray zone point is good. I think the last thing I would say on this, personally, is to just say that, when Megan, Saray, and I started this company, Megan and I were doing a lot of the financing, and we kind of stopped and we looked and we said, what risk can we take? How much can we lose a month? How much can we afford to finance this? What kind of things do we need? You look ahead, you look down the road. When do you want to be in different parts? When do you want to be here? When do you want to be there? I struggle. I don't think I'm particularly good at business, but what I knew how to do, I think, and I think that you see a lot of people starting businesses centered around wargaming, is that they are able to say to themselves, what's the product I'm going to make, or what's the service I'm going to provide? How do I do it? What risks am I taking on? Yeah. Baron Dice seems very comfortable taking on really high levels of risk. Yeah. They are just taking on really insane high levels of risk. We don't have to worry about this. When I was involved making physical products for a different YouTube channel, we did. You do have to worry about risk because, again, anytime you start doing manufacturing in China, it's expensive and it does not turn on a dime. It is the opposite of something turning on a dime. Whatever that is, whatever that phrase is, that's this. Well, and what that means is that right now, Baron Dice, one, can't stop making these dice. Financially, but also physically and logistically, and to some degree, politically, cannot stop making these dice right now. So these dice are still being made. And when it stops, it will crash. It's going to be a very big crash because everything in China is going to stop. There won't be, somewhere they have dice they can keep making, right? Like we said, Daughters of Cain ones are probably okay. Yeah. They're going to have to rescale, I guess. We'll see if they take financial losses, if they're getting sued financially. There's a financial suit in place, whatever it is. I just feel like I would encourage anyone wanting to start a business centered around wargaming, where you're in Games Workshop's orbit, or forget Games Workshop, Atomic Mass. Mm-hmm. Careful with your risk, man. This is risky, and maybe they know something I don't know. That's we don't know. They and they're fine. That'll be interesting to hear about too. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Saray? What do you think? Anything else?
We have a membership from Jules.
Oh yeah. Sell me dice with Bartok on the 6s, please, and thank you. Thanks, Jules, for using your Lab Mandro chat. Use those up, guys, please, if you have them. Yeah, we're talking about it in Discord. We're having a pretty safe conversation that's not heated. There's not a lot of controversy here, especially when it comes to Baron of Dice. I think they goofed. I hope that nobody is financially ruined by this. Hopefully
I hope they're able to come out on the other end of it.
Yeah. Because they do make good dice, and people do enjoy their dice. And again, like you said, Saray, they're filling a niche that clearly GW is kind of not able to keep up with.
Yeah. Kind of letting it fall through the cracks. That's the only reason that these were able to pop up in the first place.
Exactly. Okay, I think we did it. Tomorrow we'll be back. The clue for tomorrow was too nebulous for me to state what I think it is, but it is fair to say there's very few factions left. So who is left? Order. I know we have Daughters of Cain, and I know we have Seraphon, and I know we have one more. Sylvaneth.
Yep.
After
Chaos,
that,
we have.
Yeah, who's left in Chaos?
Everyone, but who they showed for Chaos? They showed Skaven and.
Tzeentch.
Skaven and Tzeentch. So we still have all the other gods.
Khorne.
On Khorne. So we have Slaves of Darkness, Nurgle. And that's it. Oh,
no.
They're going to secretly reveal
Hedonites.
Thank you.
And then
they're going to secretly reveal Chaos Dwarfs at the end, and then
Death is
finally.
Death is Soulblight.
Yep.
And Destruction is Ogres.
Yeah, they already did Cruel Boys. Yeah,
they did Cruel Boys. So we have. I'm counting how many more days I have to
wake up.
I can never sleep in. It's not like it's too early for me to get up. It's just like every now and then I like to sleep in a little bit more. Okay, it's 8 more days, and so I don't know. I think So, somebody says Dan says 100% Daughters of Cain could be Hedonites, though nimble killers. I don't know. Could be different things.
Clearly Harlequins.
Could be Harlequins. Yeah. So Ray, we did it. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Anything? Did we say bye? Are we good? Did we do it?
I think we're good. I think we're good.
I think we did it. Folks at home, thank you so much for being here. We will be back tomorrow. I think we did it. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourselves. Always be creating. Bye, folks.
Bye.